Now I think we can work on the copy functionality so that the user can copy the shortened URL to the clipboard by using the button that we have provided over here. So for this, I generally prefer using a package which is copy to clipboard, as it supports wide range of browsers. It has fallbacks even for Internet Explorer. So it gives a function as the default export using which we can copy anything to the clipboard. So let's install this package. Heading back to the project, yarn add and the package name or npm install, and then within the link card component, this thing we need to import the function. Let's do that because that's where we have the button. So let's import copy, and we also need to have the URL, which we do have over here. So instead of copying it two more times, like 2 times, we can shift this thing into a variable. Let's do that. Short URL, and we can wrap it up inside of backticks so that we can use template literal in such a way. We can use the same thing in between the typography, and when the user clicks on it, for which we need to add an onClick and inline anonymous function where we call the copy function with a short URL in such a way. So now if we take a look, let me just check. If we take a look, let me copy something to the clipboard just to see the difference. Okay, so now if I click on it, yep, it's working. The link has been copied, so that's great. Now along with this, we can also show a message, some sort of toaster, which says that the link has been copied to the clipboard, just to notify the user that the action was success. So for that, we can actually use a component from the material UI library, which is snack bar, and it's like a toaster. Okay, so the version 5 beta is out, but as we are using version 4, so let's just stick with it. Snack bar, and so it gives something like this, the message in such a way. So for that, let's head back to the project, and we will be importing this component within the account page. As we don't want to add it to each of the link card, we can just use a single one. So let's import it over here within the account file, the account component, and we can place it right at the top. So it doesn't matter where you place this component, as it has the stylings which will make it appear the way that it wants to be in. So it doesn't matter where you place it, but it needs to have a certain, like it needs to have certain props for it to work. The first one is open, which makes it visible. The other one is message for the text which goes inside of it. And for our case, I think we can add something like link copied to the clipboard. And by the way, this thing, if we just pass in a prop like this, it implies that it's true. So now if we save it, well, we should be seeing the message somewhere at the bottom in the center, and that's where we have it. That's great. Now obviously this thing will be fixed. It's going to be permanently visible, and that's not what we want. So for that, we actually need to have a state for the open prop. So for that, over here, let's create a state, and we can name it as new link toaster. These are normally referred as toasters, and the function to be set new link toaster. For the value, we can use a boolean value, and by default it will be false because we don't want it to be visible right away. So we need to bind this with the open prop that we are passing over here. Let's do that, equals to the state value, and then we also need to pass in 2 additional props. The first one being the auto hide duration. So this takes in the milliseconds, like the amount of time that you want this toaster to be visible, and for our case I think 2 seconds should be enough. for which we need to provide 2000 as it takes milliseconds. The other thing is we need to pass in on close. So it takes in a function which will be automatically be called when the 2 seconds time, like after 2 seconds. So in order to hide or to dismiss the toaster, we need to pass in an inline anonymous function where we call the set new link toaster, the function to change the state, this thing, and we need to pass in the value of false in such a way. So now in order to make the toaster visible, we need to do that when the user clicks on the button. So I think we need to forward this function to the link card, but if we do that in such a way, we will be having the same re-render issue. So in order to avoid that, we need to use the use callback. So for it, let's create a function right within the account page, and we will be forwarding this function. So we can name it as handle copy link, and it's going to receive, like via the argument, it's going to get the short URL, and we need to call the copy function over here. We need to call that the function over here with the short URL, and at the same time we need to update the state, the set new link toaster state, with the value of true. So now we need to forward this thing, but before that we will be wrapping it inside of use callback in such a way with an empty array as the second argument. So let's forward this prop, this function, to the link card over here, and we can forward it by the name of copy link. Now within the link card component, well, we actually need to remove the import for copy as we no longer need it. We need to destructure the copy link prop, and the other thing is, instead of calling the copy function from the package that we have just installed, we will be calling the copy link function, the prop that we are passing over here. So let's save it, and if we take a look, let's also open the console. Oops. Just refresh. If I click on the button, we are seeing the toaster. That's great. And after 2 seconds, as you can see, it has been dismissed. So that is brilliant. That's exactly what we want. As you can see, it's working perfectly fine. I will be copying this thing to the clipboard. If I click on it, there we have the toaster. Perfect. So that's the copy functionality, and I think that's it. Like in terms of the functionality for the application on this page, that's it. We can actually start with the redirect part, as like we do have everything that we need in order to make that happen. So yep, let's do that.